The thing that I liked most about Michael Jordan as a player was the fact that I didn't have to try to guard him. If you had a poor defensive scheme, he was going to fill the hoop up until you either figured it out or the game was over and you lost the game. Some of his acrobatic drives to the hoop are just remarkable. You know, he could get past the defense and use a little bit of English off of the glass. The ball drops in so nice. It takes some really advanced skills to do that consistently. The 1988 All-Star Game was a showcase for Michael. Michael had figured out all the things he needed to know to be a dominant player.
The L weaving its way through these quiet winter streets as all the action is.
Welcome fan, back forward, making his 7th All-Star appearance, the standout veteran of the Denver Nuggets, 6'7", Alex English. Making his All-Star debut, the front court star of the Utah Jazz, the Mailman. And now, the starting lineup for the Eastern Conference. Back forward, a 3-time look.
Welcome everyone to Chicago for the 1988 All-Star Game. By my side, Clark Kellogg, and our sideline reporter tonight, David Aldridge. I'm Kevin Harlan. And Clark, this is the second time Chicago has hosted this mid-season classic.
Yeah, you go back to 1973, that's when they hosted their first one. The East won it 104 to 84 back then. That was the lowest combined score in an All-Star game, Kevin, since the 1950s.
We'll see if then tonight, Clark, they can surpass that total.
I would think they could. No shortage of scores on either side. I expect an up-tempo, fast-paced game, an exciting game with plenty of highlights and buckets.
Cannot wait. And your West All-Stars, Pat Lever and Magic Johnson, the guards, Alex English and Karl Malone at the forward spots, and in the middle, Hakeem Olajuwon. For the East, it's Moses Malone inside and Dominique Wilkins with Larry Bird, the forwards. And in the backcourt, Isaiah Thomas and Michael Jordan.
And you look at Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, rivals since college. Early on, no love lost between them, but over time, they've become friends.
Larkin, amidst this All-Star celebration, labor negotiations between the players and the NBA continue.
Trying to find their way through this current impasse, Kevin, and looking to avoid any interruptions to this game that we all have a love affair with.
Yeah, I know you and I hope they can find some common ground.
Please make it happen soon.
And an exhibition game with plenty of motivation for these stars nonetheless. For more, let's say hello to David Aldridge.
Thanks very much. Now, I was talking to Larry Bird about his goals for the matchup, and he said, I think our job is to get the ball to Michael Jordan, get him into the game, and get the crowd into the game. So if Bird has anything to do with it, Michael Jordan will be the MVP. And that would be poetic justice this weekend. Guys, back to you.
Especially where we are. Well said, David. Thank you. Jordan Clark, obviously, in front of his hometown crowd. He loves it, and they really love it.
No doubt about it, Kevin. You think about the fans in Chicago. They love basketball. And I can expect, and you can too, a ton of energy, some extra adrenaline anytime Michael touches the ball.
Clark, this city is on fire with Jordan, aren't they? I mean, they love him, and they think about what's to come. My goodness.
Smoking.
Yeah. Clark, you see Larry and Magic together in those Converse ads. They've become really the faces of the NBA.
And, Kevin, I think they've inherited the mantle from the great Dr. J. He's done such a great job representing the league all these years, and certainly he's left it in good hands with those two.
Yeah, that's a great comparison. And the Eastern All-Stars favored to win tonight.
Star power and firepower. Veteran IQ and smarts, but you never know. The West has quite a bit of talent, too.
Indeed, they do. Another miss. Boy, they had their chance there, but couldn't get it to go. And so it's Wilkins who brings up the ball for the East. It's a 5-point game. And when the jump shot is fallen for Michael Jordan, what can you do? He is unstoppable. And the West All-Stars have
2
possession.
minutes remaining in the first.
Johnson kicks to Malone. Back to Johnson. Some nice passing here by the West. And that's collected by Malone. And Michael Jordan winning the dunk contest yesterday, Clark. Can he add to his trophy case tonight?
Kevin, I think his teammates want to see him win the MVP. I think they're going to give him as many touches as he needs to have a chance to do it.
Ooh, that'll be fun to watch. And Larry Bird winning 3 straight MVP awards from 1983 to 1986.
You know who the last player was to do that?
I'm going back to the 60s. Something. You tell me.
Yeah,
I know you
Bill
know.
Russell.
Yeah, right.
It's
of
Bill
course.
Russell, 1960 to 63.
Of course. I'm glad we bring him up. A legend.
Yep.
The master of the mid-range, Alex English. And tonight's All-Star MVP will have a $5,000 check presented in their name, Clark, to the Thurgood Marshall Black Education Fund.
A great cause in honor of a terrific American.
And starting last season, Clark, Michael Jordan's scoring went through the roof.
Averaging over 37 points per game, partner, and he's kept close to that pace this season as well. Remarkable.
Amazing and remarkable, right. Wow. And Michael Jordan won the dunk contest last night, and man, was it great. What a thriller. He and Dominique Clark put on a great show, and you could tell they both wanted it so badly. Perhaps the home court advantage gave Michael Jordan Clark the edge.
And there was another winner from last night, and that was Larry Bird, taking home the trophy in the three-point shootout. And he didn't even need to take off his warm-ups to handle his business.
Clark, somebody told me he looked at the rest of the competitors and said, okay, who's going to be in second place here? Who's going to finish behind me?
Sounds just like him.
Controls the rebound and puts it back up and in.
And making his All-Star debut in his 3rd year in the league, Karl Malone, one of 4 players in the NBA, averaging over 20 points and 10 rebounds a game.
And so it's the East All-Star with a 10-point lead. Some breathing room heading into the break. They've been playing some inspired defense, giving a very few. Welcome back, everyone, to the 1988 All-Star Game here in Chicago. As these great fans hope Michael Jordan can bring home the win and the MVP hardware.
And the head coach of the East, Mike Fratello, his first time coaching in the All-Star game.
On the court for the West All-Stars, McDaniel is out there with Worthy. Then it's Magic Johnson. Then it's Kareem, and it's Drexler in at the 2 spot. Johnson, the pass to Abdul-Jabbar. Wide open, couldn't capitalize. How about that? Mike's a terrific friend of yours and mine, and Fratello's Hawks recently moved into first place in the East after the Cavs beat the Celtics. Clark enabling him to become the coach of the East All-Star.
So don't be surprised if the Cavs' Brad Daugherty gets extended minutes in his first All-Star appearance. You scratch my back, I scratch yours.
And here early, Clark, the East has the edge.
You look at that team on the East squad, an embarrassment of riches, Kevin, and, you know, they've got so many weapons. I think it simply comes down to execution for them.
Here's Daugherty, and Daugherty's game ahead of his years.
And Daugherty's so fundamentally sound as a pivot man for the Cavaliers. I mean, he's got excellent footwork, tremendous touch. He's a gifted passer. He's what you want in a center.
The East All-Stars shooting their first free throw of the night here.
One of the things that catches my eye about Brad Daugherty is his ability to be a ball mover at the center position. He doesn't just look to score. He's a 7-footer that can dish it as well as any big man that's played in the league.
And Kareem looking to set the career record for All-Star scoring. Isn't that something?
It really is. Needs just 10 points to do it, Kevin, and you gotta love his chances. I mean, that's a layup for him, pun intended.
A good one.
Boy, he's got to be kicking himself for failing to make that shot. That's money.
Drexler finds Johnson. And there's the foul. It'll go on Patrick Ewing. That is his first foul of the game. Danny Ainge is checked in for Dominique Wilkins.
Into the lineup for your East All-Stars, Danny Ainge.
And now approaching 2 minutes of action here in the second quarter. Drexler gets the bucket.
And enjoying his finest pro season, Clyde the Glide Drexler making his second All-Star appearance. Worked over the summer with Kiki Vandeweghe to substantially improve his jump shot.
Offensive rebound. The kick out to Ainge. The three. They shoot again. The size and aggression of Patrick Ewing inside. And if there was a snub, Clark, for this year's All-Star game, many felt it was the sharpshooter Dale Ellis of the Sonics.
Well, you take a look at what he's done. He's the only top 10 scorer in the NBA who was not an All-Star.
Yep, the Tennessee Volunteers should be here.
And Coach Mike Fratello, a colleague of ours, coaching in the All-Star game, standing tall amongst a bunch of tall guys in the NBA. You know, his dad was an amateur boxer, and, you know, I think that background gives Mike a lot of confidence as a coach.
And now let's go over to David Aldridge with a report on Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Thank you, Kevin. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar is the oldest All-Star in history. This is his 17th game. No one else has been in more than 13. To put that into context, there were 6 players in yesterday's Legends game that were younger than Kareem.
2 minutes remaining.
Magic Johnson says he respects Kareem more than anyone I know because of the pride this man has in whatever he does. Kevin, back to you.
He is a very proud individual. David, thank you. And Kareem's coming out here, Clark, after spending 2 days in bed with strep throat. I mean, it's remarkable.
And, Kevin, that's exactly the pride Magic was talking about, and that's why it seems like every game we do, Kareem is adding to some type of record that he's already established. Tonight, he could very well become the leading scorer in the history of the All-Star game.
Isn't that phenomenal? They call him captain for a reason. He is truly the leader of this entire NBA.
Yes, sir.
And Clark, not easy for these coaches to put their stamp on the game. Only a 1-hour practice yesterday to get acquainted and move through some sets.
And you know, Kevin, it's not about necessarily practice time. A few offensive sets is all that's needed. I think it's how you manage the players and give them a platform to have fun and do what they do.
That's a good point. So the timeout taken here, the first for the West All-Stars.
Hopefully, Coach has some ideas on how to get this offense on track.
Big group substitution here for the East. Malone's checked in for Doherty. McHale comes in for Patrick Ewing. Larry Bird's checked in for Ainge. And Thomas subbed in for Rivers. So an almost entirely new group now for the West. Olajuwon's checked in for Abdul-Jabbar. Malone comes in for Worthy. Aguaya's checked in for McDaniel. And Levers subbed in for Magic Johnson. Drexler. The West again cannot hit. Now the East All-Stars with it. They're on a 15-6 run. Tremendous pass from Bird. He can do it all. And Michael Jordan, not only last season's leading scorer by a mile, but Clark Kellogg this season, he is in the running for the Defensive Player of the Year.
He is the true definition of a two-way player. Gets it done at a high level at both ends.
Malone dishes to Olajuwon. Outside Lever. Pass to Malone. Goes up again. Rebound by the East All-Stars. Back to Thomas. From deep three-point range. Good. And it's Bird picking up the assist. Thomas got his second bucket of the night.
How about this list? Players who have never missed an All-Star game in their careers. Jerry West, Bob Pettit, Larry Bird, Isaiah Thomas, and Hakeem Olajuwon.
And we welcome you back to the second half of the 1988 All-Star Game here in Chicago. Great performances from these players, whether it's their first time participating or their 17th. And here's Jordan. He'll bring it up for the East All-Stars. They lead by 24, their biggest margin.
You know, you get into the latter stages of the game, and normal to wonder who will take home the MVP trophy. It's certainly one of those accolades that's mentioned when you talk about the great ones.
We've got Dominique Wilkins. Malone is out there with Bird. Then it's Thomas. And it's Jordan in at the 2-guard spot. That's the 5 out there for the East All-Stars. Pass to Lever. Here's Olajuwon. Guarded by Malone. Nice move. Olajuwon finds Malone. And that one drops for him. And the players in tonight's All-Star game, Clark, 2 have won MVP trophies in this game before. Larry Bird and Isaiah Thomas.
And how about this, Kevin? Thomas has won 2 out of the last 4 years. If he was to get 3 MVPs, that would put him in some rarefied air, tying with Oscar Robertson for second most. Bob Pettit is the only player to do it 4 times.
And the East with the lead.
Living up to that favored and top billing and giving these fans quite a show.
And so it looks like it'll be still with the West All-Stars. And about a minute of action so far in the third quarter. Just 5 on the clock. And he gets the whistle. 2 free throws coming up.
You know, when you think of Alex English, I think about all of the buckets he gave me and everybody else during his time of ravaging defenses. He's a volume shooter and a big-time scorer.
Taking 2 shots.
Good on both. Thomas kicks to Bird. 3-pointer. Here's Malone. Look at the domination on the glass by Moses Malone. And Moses Malone, Clark, the wily veteran for the Washington Bullets.
And you know, Kevin, his coach Wes Unseld says Malone has really added a level of aggressiveness to the Washington Bullets.
And he brings Clark a championship pedigree to the team.
No doubt. You know, there's been talk about adding a 3rd referee to NBA games. The commissioner and the rules committee are in favor of it, and they plan to put it before the Board of Governors at the next meeting.
Timeout called here. The West All-Stars decide to talk it over. And Clark, with 3 officials working games, do you think that'll result in more fouls being called, more eyes on the ball? They can pick up a lot more, certainly, with more guys out there.
Yeah, you know, I think, Kevin, it might be the case early on with the 3rd official, but over time, it'll smooth itself out. Off the ball, you know, some things you could get away with in the past, maybe not so much with 3 officials out there.
Ewing's checked in for the East. And West also making a switch. Donaldson's checked in. Johnson, the pass to Donaldson. That shot, no good. Great defense that time from Ewing.
And, you know, most of these guys are accustomed to having their team's offense built around them. It's an adjustment for them now to figure out who's going to get the rock most of the time.
A huge slam, the perfect end of the fast break. And in his 8th season in the NBA, James Donaldson making Clark his first All-Star appearance.
And you know, Kevin, before his NBA career, he actually played his first professional season in Italy. So he's taken the path less traveled for sure.
He said, "Arrivederci" to Italy to come to the NBA.
Yes, he did.
Johnson, the pass to Malone. Malone, a screen on Thomas. Lever. That shot off. So the East All-Stars will take it the other way. And you think about adjusting, Clark.
Oh, man. Pretty artful dribbling display by Jordan there. And it completely baffled the defender.
Clock keeps going. 3 minutes into the second half now.
2 minutes.
Lever kicks to Johnson.
2 minutes.
Malone sets the pick for Johnson. Shoots over Bird. They get the rebound. Lever finds Malone. He lobs it up. And the ball goes out of bounds. Last touch by Johnson.
Boy, that's a moment he'd like to archive. Embarrassing lapse of judgment there.
And the East with some changes. McHale's checked in for Bird. Ainge comes in for Wilkins. And it's Rivers in for Thomas. Aguirre's checked in for the West. Drexler comes in for Lever. And Clark, a slow start, but Michael Jordan is beginning now to get some momentum and heating up.
And the fans starting to take notice. They're feeling it a little bit, making some noise. They're certainly hoping he can make it happen.
The West again cannot hit. McHale passes to Jordan. Over Johnson. No good from Jordan.
Good offense squaring up against better D there. You got to appreciate that stop.
Passes to Donaldson. Ainge against Drexler. The putback.
East foul. Doc
Brad Doherty is checked in for the East.
personal
The West All-Stars also changing it up. Abdul-Jabbar's checked in for Donaldson.
Substitution on
And
the
James
court.
Worthy is subbed in for Karl Malone. Johnson left side. There's the pass to Drexler. Aguirre with it. He's guarded by Rivers. Good on the bucket.
And the Mavericks' Mark Aguirre actually got married last night. How about that? A big weekend for the DePaul product.
Pass to Jordan. Finds the bottom of the bucket from 13 feet out. Jordan's got 11 points in the quarter. Well, if Jordan is going for that scoring record, Clark, he's running out of time.
You know, I think at this point, Kevin, he can't worry about the record. Just try to get the win. There's always next year to get the numbers.
Aguirre passes to Johnson. And that one drops. Johnson's got his second basket of the night.
Magic Johnson leads the league in assists, and he's also got the most assists in All-Star game history. He processes the game at another level, folks.
Jordan's shot is off.
Boy, he's much better than that. Really no excuse for missing that lay-in.
Abdul-Jabbar and Kareem, the elder statesman. 19 years in the NBA. Decades of dominance. The 3 quarters of play all in the books. And this one all but over already. East All-Stars up
28.
Welcome back to Chicago for the 1988 All-Star Game. The grand finale of what's been a tremendous weekend to celebrate the NBA. And so it's Lever who brings up the ball for the West.
You take a look at the landscape of the NBA, and I tell you what, that Central Division, dominant. How about this? 36 games above 500 combined.
On the court for the West All-Stars, getting the 4th quarter going. We've got Worthy. Lever is out there with Drexler. Then there's Aguirre. And it's Abdul-Jabbar in at the 5 spot.
And the high-flying antics of Jordan, simply awesome.
Here's West now. Well, you look at that Central Division, all 6 teams on pace to make the playoffs.
And, you know, Chicago got off to that great start, Kevin. Then they cooled off just a bit. Now tied with Detroit at 3 games behind Atlanta. Those teams are graped up pretty good.
3 on the clock. Drexler against the bucket. And if there's a rival for the size and athleticism of Michael Jordan Clark, it might just be Clyde Drexler.
I don't think there's any question about it, Kevin. The Phi Slamma Jamma alum who can take flight with the very best of them.
Yep, great athletes. Down the stretch here, the East, Clark out in front.
Getting it done. It's been such a fun game to watch. Entertaining from both sides.
Woo, it sure has been. Doherty with the ball. He's picked up by Lever. Here's Ainge. Worthy with the rebound.
I don't think you can ask for a better look, just not the result they were looking for.
Drexler passes to Abdul-Jabbar, and Kareem throws it down.
And Kareem at 40, still handling his business, getting it done. 15 points a game on 54% shooting from the field for a 40-year-old. That is excellent production from the center position.
And Kareem will need to get it going, Clark, to reach double digits.
I think his teammates have to do a better job of getting him touches. Just keep feeding him. He's more than capable of getting there.
Throws it up high. Oh, and they get in the way of the alley-oop. Not to be. Good play defensively. He's looking for McHale and finds him. And good that time.
This is the 4th All-Star game for the Celtics, Kevin McHale. Kids at home who want to learn how to score in the post, just put the isolated camera on Kevin McHale, please. Moves on top of moves in the paint.
Here's Drexler. East grabs the miss. Just a little under 2.5 minutes have passed now here in the 4th. Fires from 18. The East All-Stars tack on 2 more.
I think Jordan could do this all day long. I mean, the mid-range area is a very comfortable area for him.
Feeds it to Abdul-Jabbar. And the dunk by Abdul-Jabbar. On Kareem, running low on time to set that scoring record, Clark.
Kevin, there's still enough time left in my mind for him to do it. I would love to see it happen. No guarantees that he gets back to this game next year.
And out of bounds. The East All-Stars will have it.
I'm not sure whose fault that was, guys, but they need to get on the same page here.
The East making a switch. Ewing's checked in. The West also making some changes. Donaldson comes in for Abdul-Jabbar, and McDaniel has subbed in for James Worthy. Offensive rebound, McHale. Got a hand on it, and the foul called on Kevin McHale. That is his first foul of the game. Larry Bird's checked in for Danny Ainge. And West also making a switch. Johnson's checked in. And the clock not in Kareem's favor as far as setting this record, Clark.
And he's not even on the floor. The West has to at least give him that chance.
Nice spin off the left rim and in.
Magic Johnson in his 8th All-Star game now, 2nd in All-Star votes this year, and he hosts his own All-Star game in the summer in LA as a fundraiser, and I understand it's quite an event. McDaniels.
Drexler scanning the floor. From the stripe, the rebound by Ewing. Ewing's got rebound number 9 now. What an effort here tonight. Bird's shot is good.
Larry Bird had it going last night at the Legends game, trying to fill it up tonight as well.
Here's Aguirre. Here's Donaldson. Lays it up and banks it in. And the 7-2 center from the Mavericks, James Donaldson.
You know, I think he's the only lefty in this game. Larry Bird and Danny Ainge right left-handed, but they shoot it with their right hand.
You and I have talked about this before, but defending a lefty is different than defending clearly a right-handed shooter.
Throws you off just a little bit, Kevin. And with Patrick Ewing leading the way, the New York Knicks finally competitive again. The big man has quickly found a rapport with rookie point guard Mark Jackson. They are a team on the rise. Book that. Great at knowing when to time and go up for the rejection. Ewing, a superb defender.
7-second difference, shot and game clock. And Jordan gets it to go on the assist by McHale.
And with this last run, they have shut the door on any chance of a comeback.
Drexler kicks to Johnson. Baseline try. Another spoon-fed basket for Magic.
When it comes to distributing the ball, nobody does it better than Magic. When one of his guys has a clean look, the ball is there quickly and on target.
Outside, Aguirre. And the Eastern All-Stars deliver. The favorites coming in. They did not disappoint.
Yeah, you looked at that team on paper and you saw.
Thank you, everyone, for making it out and supporting your team. We hope to see you again soon for the next home game.